Finished. Tonight on New Zealand, an inquiry into the police proves interesting. We debut a new segment. Auckland churchgoers ignore lockdown rules. A man tries to steal a cop's arm. And a milestone has been reached for crappy Kiwi Dirtrag. This and more on New Zealand. A series of shocking revelations subsequent to an IPCA special report on rampant racism and salacious razzory stupefies respectable sergeants and the senior ranks within the New Zealand Police. The Pirihimana Boys Club of Aotearoa is left pondering, are we the bad guys? After an independent report details an atmosphere of fear and acquiescence, blanketing the boys in blue in bigotry and fomenting a fog of frightful failure. This comes as a surprise, given their predilection to treat the public with the utmost fairness and enforce the law with a neutral yet firm manner. A spokesperson for the New Zealand Police released a statement which reads as follows. Facts, as they are stated, accuse the New Zealand Private Property Rights Enforcement Bureau of fostering a culture of physical intimidation, mental engaugery, belittling cliques, ostracising nepotism, and unrequested sodomy. Worcester Commissioner Andrew Coster was reportedly very upset by the content of the report, but could not be reached for comment, having retreated to his safe space to suckle upon his passion fruit loser juice vape and read obscure 18th century poetry. We sent our top journalist Scott Freeman to approach the New Zealand Police for comment, but he refused to do so for fear of being arrested on charges of obstructing justice.
How's your uncle?
A scientist studying human fertility has warned Kiwi men's sperm counts are dropping so rapidly, within a couple of decades there might be none left. Dr. Swan, the legend behind the study, has found that since the 70s there has been a 50 to 60% decline in the average Kiwi battler's sperm counts, which begs the question, what is happening to our swimmers? Dr. Swan has spent a considerable amount of time investigating jizz and is a world-renowned expert on everything semen related. She says that given the trajectory indicated by current trends, New Zealand's overall sperm count average is on track to hit zero between 2040 and 2045. So what then do we do when we want to knock up a gorgeous Sheila? Will we have our semen imported from a more fertile nation? Only time will tell. New Zealand assembled 6 reporters, one of them female, in the interest of a control element, to conduct an experiment, and had them all masturbate into a jar daily over a 6-month period. In a shocking turn of events, the female participant produced the least amount of semen of those taking part. Our most prominent journalist, Scott Freeman, deposited a sizable glob of baby batter with every ejaculation, and thus is likely New Zealand's most fertile and therefore eligible reporter. We didn't notice any decline in ball soup output from any journo involved, which has us wondering, is Dr. Swan wrong about the decline in the Kiwi man's semen? And just in case anyone was wondering, I, Richard Pullum, am extremely fertile and shoot fantastic and mammoth loads the size of world's tallest man Robert Wardlow's fists. Happy fapping, everyone, from us here at NewsyLand. Good?
Yep.
And this week, we are proud to be debuting a new segment, New Zealand's Bund of the Week. This week, it is the Bundalini who stormed the Trenton racetrack and stood mouth agape amidst the galloping horses on Wellington Cup Day. He has described the undertaking as a piss-filled cock-up and has admitted the offending, as well as trying to spook the nay-nays beforehand. Some props are due for the man, who New Zealand can name as Justin Bergman, as he has done a miraculous job at somehow making the rich cum-puddle sport of horse racing mildly entertaining following his actions. He appeared in the Hutt Valley District Court, where he pleaded guilty to creating a criminal nuisance by unreasonably disrupting a public meeting knowing it would endanger the safety of the public. What we aren't sure is how standing on a racetrack during a horse racing meet equates to endangering the public. We are urging members of the public to come forward and let us know if you felt unsafe or otherwise threatened by Bergman's actions. Before he made his heroic leap onto the track to disrupt the pricks on ponies, he engaged in the very actions that have earned him the esteemed title of Bundy of the Week. Bundman gained access to a private area where horses are showcased and paraded. It's anyone's guess why, but in truly brazen exhibition of Bundyism, he began yelling and screaming at the horses, trying his utmost to frighten them. It seems that horses have a sixth sense for the detection of true muggy Bundys, and he was unsuccessful in his attempt to startle an animal well known for its propensity to become alarmed at the slightest commotion. We aren't sure exactly what it was he was yelling, but we here at NewsyLand would wager it was, "I'm a huge muggy Bundy with no mates or hobbies." After pleading guilty, he was sentenced to 100 hours of community work, 12 months of supervision, and was ordered to pay reparation, and has made his way onto the very first NewsyLand Bundy of the Week. Well done, Justin. Sweet.
$9. It's serious fun.
We are who we are and that we know who we are. I predict in the next 5 years we will be ruling the nation.
The humble and spiritually wealthy suburb of Mangere has once again made headlines after a group of churchgoers elected to flout lockdown rules and assemble for a service at a local residence. Unperturbed by the perhaps obvious risks associated with holding a largely unnecessary book club meeting during a pandemic, one attendee described the atmosphere as positively infectious. This undertaking is a far step from the usual respect for the rules, laws, regulations and wider community that we have come to expect from the law-abiding residents of the South Auckland suburb. This report follows the revelation that businessman, failed rock musician and occasional Christian minister Brian Tamaki has fled Auckland moments prior to new lockdown restrictions being placed on the region. Tamaki and his wife Hannah have elected to take a well-deserved break from near-fatal attempts at burning their own rubbish, instead deciding to relax in Rotorua. Our condolences to the fair city of Rotorua. Approached for comment, Tamaki stated, "It's just nice to get out for a while and appreciate the sights, sounds and smells that Rotorua offers. Even Jesus Christ himself is aware that the pungent smell of the hot pool city smells a lot better than the fetid drivel that spews forth from the Bishop Tamaki's mouth." Several of New Zealand's mayors have expressed that the couple would not be welcome in their cities following their lockdown flee. This is absolutely fair enough. We here at New Zealand sincerely wish we could stop reporting on the Tamakis altogether, as our entire newsroom feels utter disgust and even having to take them into consideration. So I say this with the utmost earnestness. Please, fuck off, Tamaki.
And the government shall be upon his shoulders, and then peace can come to this nation.
The sick of the Tamakis.
I'll explain a little bit more tonight. But I feel very strongly in my heart that the word of the Lord came to me very strong.
The suburbs of Auckland are once again prominent in New Zealand's appropriately large headlamps after a disqualified driver fled from a COVID-19 police checkpoint. Our very own eyes in the sky were present to capture the moment when the disgruntled driver seized upon the officer's arm before attempting to drive away from the scene in the early hours of Friday morning, arms still held tightly within his grip. While it is not totally clear precisely what the perpetrator wanted with the officer's considerably used wank limb of choice, the case remains noteworthy. Could the Auckland region be seeing an uptick in organ theft? Could this be the consequence of growing numbers of amputees being let down by the public health system? Or could this be a new radical tactic by concerned activists attempting to reduce the Auckland region's eye-watering police abuse statistics? Whatever the driver in question's motives were, tidings of a police officer in discomfort never failed to warm this anchor's heart. Out of sympathy for the family of the affected parties, and our considerable respect for Aotearoa's most prominent dispenser of field sobriety tests, New Zealand will not be airing the footage of the incident.
Maybe you could do with one of these.
The New Zealand Herald, a beacon of low-hanging journalistic fruit to the approximate quarter of the New Zealand public who do not possess Level 1 NCEA literacy standards, has broken its 18-year dry spell of viewership. The paper in question, a purveyor of Pulitzer-level titles such as KFC releases Crocs that smell like fried chicken, or Nationals can still win 2020 election, has broken its own 2 million person viewership milestone for the first time in almost 20 years. While it isn't remotely clear to journalists, both domestically or abroad, precisely what it was that drew several million Kiwis to the so-called paper 18 years ago, the breaking of the milestone represents a serious victory for the readership and corporate sponsorship of the paper. Attempts to reach the Herald for comment were sadly curtailed by the wall of 55-year-old sunglass-wearing members of the public that comprise the paper's comments section. That's our show. Thank you for joining us. This has been New Zealand, and I'm Richie Pullum.
I mean true governance. True kingdom authority expressed through the people of God and through our political orders. So we're going to have a fantastic time tonight. But right now, it's our awesome privilege to introduce you to somebody.
He made a declaration that in 5 years, you shall be ruling and reigning in this nation. That means you control the wealth. That means you control the riches. That means you control the politics. That means you control the social order. That means that you are in charge.
Say it now.
Touch your neighbor. It happens because of order. And see,
The job's worth doing. It's worth doing.